Hello, everyone. Kinsey Elizabeth here. I am the empowerment photographer. I run a boudoir studio in Kansas City, Missouri. And this week we are doing a little dive into some client interviews. I've gathered some recent past clients who are down to come and chat with me, and I am just delighted to have Sarah here with me. In a moment, I'm going to get to a quick little introduction, but first, I just wanted to say throughout the course of this conversation, we're going to be talking about boudoir at the Empowerment Studio, and specifically Sarah's boudoir experience. And just so that you know, we are currently running a half-off session fee sale. And so that's where you can come in and do your boudoir experience and save a whole bunch of money at the same time. So if you're interested in that, empowermentphotographer.com/sale is where to go, or you can find the link in a cajillion places on all of our social media spots. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend and former client, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me here.
Yes, thanks for the invite.
Oh, what a treat. I'm just really excited. Your session was pretty recent, and I just have such fun, vivid memories of it. So it's really exciting to me to think about, indulging in what that experience was and getting to hear your brain around it. First, Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself? You can say name, pronouns if you'd like to share them, and I don't know, something that makes you tick, something you're excited about, or something you do, or I don't really care about the capitalism answer unless that's the thing that lights you up. You're welcome to share that, but otherwise, just I don't know, tell us a little smidge about yourself.
So I'm Sarah. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I grew up in Kansas on the northeast corner. I was an Army brat, so got to live that life. My pronouns are they, she. Doesn't matter to me. And let's see what makes me tick. My current obsession right now is doing taekwondo with my daughter. But I also love to crochet. Obviously, all of this yarn that is rainbow and very, very queer behind me.
Yes, we love a queer backdrop.
Quilts up there are very queer and colorful.
I was just thinking what a beautiful video chat backdrop this has created for you. So yes, I love that.
I mean, I even have yarn on my desk right now.
That's amazing. And taekwondo with your daughter, that is powerful and super cool.
It's so fun, and it's really gentle for the most part on my joints, which is what I'm looking for now, because I did a lot of fitness things throughout my entire life, and I'm like, you know what, it's time to bring it down. So it's not as hard on my body, and it's fun to do all the stuff and learn it with my daughter. And now my husband's starting to get into it, so it's like a whole family thing now, which is fun, because I'm like, yay, we can all do something together for a change instead of always going separate ways.
That's super fun. And also I love the concept of this is more gentle on my body. If you think about just in general, the Empowerment Studio, we are inviting in so much gentleness for our bodies and our brains, right?
And you're allowed to be gentle. You don't have to be just go, go, go all the time. And I wish I had learned that before I was approaching 40, but
you know what though? But we have been talking about this so much in the Empowerment Studio lately, start now. We can't change what our path has been leading up to now. And honestly, the path leading up till now is what's gotten us here. And also, what if we welcome in some gentleness right now? So
you will not be disappointed if you do.
That's amazing. Okay, so Sarah, you have been around the Empowerment Studio for a long time now. In our Facebook community back in the day, on Mighty Networks when we were having our private community, you still hang out with us online on our socials. I love it. And then you got to come in and do your boudoir session finally, which was a long time coming, I think, for both of us. I don't know, people don't really know, I don't think, the amount of it's like a bucket list that I have in my brain of humans who I'm I hope I get to photograph them someday. And then there was a moment and you were like, I'm ready, it's time. And then we did it. So my first question for you though, if we can rewind, can we go back to before the Empowerment Studio? take a little trip down this memory lane. Paint, like, where were you at before you started welcoming in Empowerment Studio energy?
Before Empowerment Studio, I mean, I've struggled with body image pretty much since high school. And so I've been diagnosed with an eating disorder, and that's been 21 years. As much as I hate to say that it's been that long. So it's before that, I was still struggling. I was still just trying to figure out how to be in recovery and figure out how to navigate all of that space and how to love my body no matter what season I was in, which, you know, I'm like, oh, let's try this. And it just ultimately all ended up in fitness. And I'm like, obviously that's not telling me how to love my body and be gentle. And then I found a friend of mine actually showed me the Empowerment Studio. She's like, hey, join this. And I think it was a selfie to self-love challenge or something coming. At least you were doing something. And it's like, oh, this is a cool little space. Like everybody's just so polite, and it's not about really like your size or your shape or anything like that. And it's all so positive. And I was just not in that area before that. I was just trying to navigate like, okay, I'm recovered, but I'm not really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between like doing some of the work, but then actually like welcoming in some shifting for yourself. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's in the past, but yeah, I was still struggling, you know, just masking it up and setting out.
Oh boy, the masking. So then tell me what it was like to start being in this environment that was so kind and so like body neutral and body accepting and body celebrating. What shift started to happen for you?
And it was kind of strange at first because I'm just like, I'm not used to people interacting this way in general. Like it wasn't something I saw in my everyday life, even among friends. Like, you know, your friends aren't usually dogging on each other, but it's still not this like overly positive, like, hey, you have a glow about you, or all of these compliments, and learning how to accept compliments. Because I was always the person that just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to say. I should say thank you, but I don't know what to say. So it slowly just kind of kept sucking me in. Like, this is what you need in your life. And, you know, even when I wasn't super active, it was just more taking in everything and just kind of observing and seeing that this is truly real. This is not just people putting on a show saying, hey, look, you can be positive, and then going off and not being positive. So it was a slow shift of me eventually participating in a selfie to self-love challenge and really kind of challenging myself. Like, oh, I have to take like a sexy selfie. I don't know about this. That's not something I've ever like viewed myself as like a sexy person. And I've always been like, I don't do sexy photos. I don't do the whole sexy face thing. I'm just like, okay, fine. I'll do this selfie thing. And then I got the compliments and I'm like, oh my God, I've never looked at myself that way. So it was this whole shift of being able to have people that I don't know that are on the internet and saying all these kind things to me about my face, my body, just my vibe, just like, hey, you have this like really calm vibe about you. I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's true about you, Sarah. That's true. Except, you know what? Even the calm people need to be allowed into a space that supports that, right? Like you don't want to be the calm in the storm. Like what a beautiful thing for you to get to be calm amongst ease and gentleness and kindness and all of these things. I love that you started, like, the fact that you had some hesitancy around seeing yourself differently, but then you were just like, okay, what if I just like crack this open a tiny bit and see what comes in? And then what came in was like compliments and generosity and love and affection. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's nice. Okay, let's try a little more.
Yep.
So then how did that translate into you then coming in and deciding to do a boudoir session?
I mean, that had been building because I'd seen your work and I had seen everyone else's boudoir because of course, you know, the compliment parties, and I'm just like, these pictures are amazing. And being able to see that it wasn't just like magazine cover models every single time where you're like, I could see me in that photo versus like that person doesn't even look like me. They don't have like my haircut, my body type. They don't have my style. it's not just lingerie. I'm like, okay, it can be other things. So it was kind of that kind of pulled me into wanting to do one. And then it was just at that point, it was just trying to figure out the financing, because at the time the job just wasn't working for it. And then I finally was like, I got a better job, and I actually was like, oh, I have some play money now. So now I can actually like do this. So then when you had the model call, I'm like, we're doing the model call this time.
You're like, it's my time. This model call has my name across the banner.
Yes. And if I can help represent someone that looks like me or feels like me, awesome. That's my goal, is to inspire somebody.
It's so incredible. And so I'm curious then, like, okay, so what was your session like? What was it like so you've been in this environment of, okay, I'm starting to reframe how I'm seeing myself, and now I'm ready to be in the photos, but there's still a vulnerability to it, and like a taking up space that it requires. What was it like finally coming into the empowerment studio, doing your session, and having me there guiding you through the experience?
It was everything I could hope it could have been, really, because like I already knew that you were very calm, chill. You were going to just walk me through it. I wasn't going to have to think about like posing or how to do something. I'm like, okay, that's Kinsey. They're going to lead me through this and tell me, okay, move your arm here, put your head there. That way I don't, it's one less thing I have to think about. And of course, I had already been in the empowerment studio, so I was familiar with the layout, and I kind of knew what was coming. But at the same time, there was that kind of like, okay, now I'm going to be like really vulnerable. Like my body's going to be on display. But at the same time, you just made it so easy to just relax. We did breathing, we do the shimmies and the wiggles, which also, you get laughing. And of course, then you just forget about everything else. And you're like, we're just having a good time. We're just friends having a good time, happening to take pictures at the same time. So it was really just like hanging out with a bestie and being like, oh, by the way, we're just going to take some pictures because it's fun. So it was this magical, fun, relaxing. And like I told you that day, like that was the first time I hadn't been stressed in so long, because work's stressful, life stressful. And I'm like, I'm breathing and I'm having a good time and I'm laughing and I'm not thinking about everything in my life.
I just took such a deep breath. That felt so good. Oh, I love that so much, Sarah. Okay, can we dive in even further into your session? And I'm curious if you could paint us a picture of a specific moment or some specific part of the photo shoot. Maybe it's from the before, as we're getting ready and picking outfits, or maybe it's from a certain pose or some sort of element like that. But can you take us there? Can you take us on a journey?
Starting off with just picking out outfits, because I brought my own stuff, but then just being able to be there and have someone that can literally look at what you're wearing, trying things on, having your little fashion show and being like, okay, is this going to be right? Is this going to work? And just get like giddy excited about something you just put on and like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like you don't realize how good you look. And, being able to feel so empowered and good about yourself, to the point that like, for me, the wings were so fun. I loved doing the wings. That was putting on those wings, the little jetpack. And I'm just like, I feel like I could just fly over Kansas City and sprinkle love and kindness everywhere. Like, just let me, show everybody how amazing this is and how empowering it is to put these amazing wings on. And then to stand on that ledge with the rainbow light coming in, the lights coming on, and being able to just pose, kind of bring in some of my previous life of bodybuilding and posing, and then just kind of getting this magical essence to come through and come out in those pictures. And just to look at those pictures now, even, and in that moment, I was just like, I want to live here forever. I just want to live in these wings. I want to live as this like superhuman forever. And it was just so empowering and so fun to do it. It's also kind of like going back to being a child and being able to dress up and just have a good time and not think about what's happening outside the window, other than you're like, ooh, pretty rainbow light.
The word that keeps coming into my brain as you've been talking is play. And then it was funny because you said, like, going back to childhood, dress up, like indulging fully in an experience and just being so present. For people who don't know, can you talk about the wings? Like and the wings are a prepayment bonus. So that's when you book your session with a session fee, which during our sale right now is half off. But then you choose a boudoir collection, and Sarah chose which collection was right for them and then paid for that before they came in for their session. So finances were like not a factor in your brain, right?
Mhm.
But then that unlocks all of the different prepayment bonuses that you get to add on to your session. And so what Sarah chose is wings. But okay, so if someone, I'm just imagining someone who like has no idea what we're talking about and has never seen wings pictures before. Can you paint this imagery for people?
I think the best, this is going to sound so bizarre, but I think of the cartoon Birdman. I don't know why, but
I love it.
How epically large these wings are. I mean, they are so big, but they are not heavy. They are, and in my mind, even before, I'm like, are they like feathers? Are they, but they're like that, what I would call craft foam.
Yes, that's exactly it.
PVC, and they are so light. They are so easy to wear. I mean, they're just massive. So, I mean, you can literally like envelop yourself in these wings, but yeah, they take up like that entire room.
They really do.
Almost wall to wall. So
I used to make the mistake of putting the wings on the client because we kind of like get dressed and ready in the other space. And then it's like, okay, cool, let's go into the photo shoot space. And then before I would like put the wings on the person out there, and then we would have to like sidestep with the wing.
Yes, the little like, I mean, getting on the ledge with the wings, that was an adventure.
You know what we do? Didn't we use a step stool?
Yes, you went and got like, okay, let's try this.
I feel like that's something we do really well in the Empowerment Studio is create various creative and odd accommodations to make something that's kind of challenging a lot easier.
Yes.
Ooh, that's true. We do that in a lot of ways. We do that with like our words and stuff too, That's kind of cool. Yeah. And you mentioned the jetpack. So what I love is that the wings are super body accessible. This is for every size. A lot of wings, I researched the heck out of the wings before getting them for the studio. And a lot of them come with straps that only go so wide, and the straps are only so long, and so they are not going to accommodate very small or very big bodies. And obviously we are not about that life in the Empowerment Studio. We love that we have things that fit and celebrate every size of body. So what we do is we fit you into a harness that will fit your body, because we have those extra small through 6X. And then you mentioned the jetpack.
Yes.
So we put this, it literally looks like a little jetpack, but we attach that to the harnesses, and it has holes for the PVC pipes to like tuck into, and that's what your wings attach to. So cool. Thank you for indulging our dear people in that visual experience. I loved you being up in the window ledge with these epic wings surrounding you, and like you said, the rainbow light coming in at your feet, and the light that we were casting on you from my different lighting equipment, and just seeing you.
Yes.
And that was towards the end of your session, and so at that point you were so at ease and so comfortable that I hardly felt like I had to give you direction at all. I was like, at this point, this is about me helping Sarah document their experience. You said you wished you could live in these wings forever, that this moment could go on forever. Well, the cool thing is we created photos from it, and now you have those forever.
Yes, I do. And I've been staring at them on and off since I got them, because I'm like, these are lovely. I love them.
And you just like see yourself in them.
Yeah. And it's so nice to look at yourself and for a change, not nitpick everything that's happening. Like, I can look at my body and just go, that's my body. And I look powerful and I look empowered and I look like I'm strong and capable and that I'm having a good time. You can see that I'm at ease in those photos and just having the best time of my life.
I feel like by the end of a session, and this is, I mentioned this before we started recording, but like my clients are just all so great. Like I am clearly drawing the right people in towards me because we vibe together so well. But I feel like by the end of a session, I am like my cheeks hurt from smiling so hard. Like we've just been laughing so much. It's such a joy.
Yes.
So Sarah, you mentioned this a little bit already, but I'm kind of curious because you said you've been like staring at your photos since then and like revisiting. But I'm curious what ripple effects you have felt in your life since your session. What has shifted? What's changed? Tell me what it's been like since your session.
If anything, I've had more kindness toward my body, even on the days where I'm not 100% happy with whatever, which then I can stop and go, you know what, it's fleeting. This moment is fleeting. And that's honestly, in those moments, that's when I will pull up a photo and be like, look at yourself, Sarah, look at this, remember this moment. And remember that, you're strong and you're badass and you did this amazing thing. And I've had so many people, like my trusted people that I've shared photos with so far, they're just like, you're so brave and like powerful for doing that. And I'm like, I guess, yeah, it's brave to do that. But at the same time, it's like, that's that vulnerability that I've not allowed myself to just have ever outside of like quiet moments to myself. And so just being able to look at my body and not, for like the first time in 20 years, not nitpick every tiny thing about my whatever. And it's like, oh, that's nice. And I know my body's going, thank you for finally being kind, instead of always being negative about something.
Oh, this is so that like literally okay, wow. So the fact that you're like for the first time in 20 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So this experience that you've been thinking about for a while, but you finally chose to invest in. And I'm obviously there's financial investment, but there's also energetic investment. There's time investment, like carving out that whole afternoon for yourself and turning your phone off and allowing yourself to not feel stressed for the first time in months or maybe years. 20 years. And now you are like, oh, actually, I have some new tools in my pocket and I can reframe how I feel. Holy bananas. That's so cool, Sarah.
Yes. Oh, trust me. That is like one of those things where in therapy, it's like, hey, I did this thing. And even my therapist is like, you did a what? I'm like, yeah, I did a boudoir shoot. And she was just like, and how did that go? And I'm like, actually really well. And here's my photos because I am obsessed.
Yes.
I need to share them.
I love that so much.
And I'm like, but I did. And of course, then it's, the talk of like, well, how do you feel about them? And I'm like, I love them. I can't find anything negative to say about how I look in these photos because I look strong. I look empowered. I look happy. And I
look like yourself.
Yes, I look like me. I mean, I remember being in the studio and you gave me like a little preview and I'm like, oh, there they are.
There they are. That's what we're all about, the Empowerment Studio. Actually, okay, so then that makes me think of another question, which is thinking about identity and gender. And like at the very beginning, you said, there's the boudoir doesn't have to be lingerie. And obviously we did wings and all of these things, right? So, but I feel like for your therapist to be like, you did what? Like I think boudoir is for everyone, but you don't necessarily come across as the sort of person who would do like a more typical boudoir session, right? I'm curious, what made you feel comfortable to come in and be like, hello, yes, I want to do this. This is for me and all of me is welcome here.
So I'm also the person that if I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it. And when I take on challenges, even my therapist is like, I give you a challenge and whether you want to do it or not, you take it and you run with it. There's been some challenges. She was like, I wasn't sure you were going to do great at this challenge, but then you come in with all of this information. And I'm like, oh, you did it, like above and beyond.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm going to do something and I'm going to do a boudoir shoot and I'm like, okay, we're doing this and I know what it entails, but you know what? We're just going to jump in. We're going to go in both feet and we're going to have fun and we're going to do whatever on that day works for me that day.
And then you go ahead.
And it just happened to work out with what we chose and what I tried on and what worked. And, you know, despite it being more on the femme side for some things where I tend to not be as femme in general, it still showcased like that softness, but also my normal, like everyday vibe of less femme, more, you know, my husband calls it tomboyish. I hate that word nowadays. but the more tomboyish kind of feel, but still like that little softness that's there as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's a cool thing about having 3 different outfits for your session too, is we get to be like, okay, cool. Like if this is your range of gender presentation or gender exploration for some people, right? Then can we like pick, you know, outfits that show that range of you so that all these different parts of you get the chance to show up?
And I feel like we did that very well with like the crop top, because I'm a t-shirt person. Like I live in hoodies and t-shirts all the time. And right now I've got my most comfy pair of Carhartt jeans on. So I'm like, I'm living my best life in my very masculine kind of outfit right now.
Yeah.
But then we went from that, where it's like the t-shirt and some underwear, all the way to the wings with harness and black lingerie underneath, and just like complete contrast of how multifaceted gender can be, because it's not just, oh, you're a girl. That's not how it works. I mean, that's how it's worked for me my entire life. Like you talk to my parents and they're like, yeah, girl, what is that? We had a girl, but
but then we have a Sarah.
We have a Sarah that's a little bit of everything, you know, and the best way I explain it, I'm like, I'm not on any one thing. Like it's fluid. Everything is a spectrum. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's just find your point on the spectrum and flourish.
And you felt comfortable to bring your part of like where you're at on the spectrum into the empowerment studio.
Absolutely. I mean, I can walk into the empowerment studio, whether for a shoot or just a get together, and be 100% myself, whatever presentation that is that day, and everyone welcomes it and you feel comfortable being that day. If it's more femme that day, great. If it's not, cool. And it's comfortable and I love it so much.
And if it changes halfway through and you're like, oh, I got to throw on some black lipstick because my aggressive femme vibes are popping now.
You'll forever wear black lipstick till the day I die.
I love it. I love it. It really suits you. I feel like black lipstick captures a lot of the different dynamics of your gender magic. Yes. Love that for you. Okay, I have a final question for you. So as you know, we've got this boudoir sale going on right now, and I am sure there's a lot of people who are like, I'm thinking about this, but it's a pretty big decision. So for anyone who's on the fence, who's like, is this for me? Or maybe, you know, like, what would you say to someone who maybe it's right for them, but they need a little encouragement to get them over that hump so that they actually can like take this leap and do this thing for themselves?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is that you are going to be 100% comfortable. Like that Kinsey will make sure that whatever makes you comfortable in the studio, that's what the vibe is going to be. And just to be ready to you're going to have a good time. It's an investment. It's worth every single penny of the investment. And do it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. Just do it for you, because this is going to be something you remember for the rest of your life, and you're not going to regret a single moment.
Oh, I love that, Sarah. I'm so grateful that you came in to do a session with me. It just really felt like, okay, yes, this is correct. Like,
yes.
This exact version of Sarah and this exact version of Kinsey are meeting here today to create this magical experience and these incredible photos. I'm so grateful.
Yes, me too.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. Do you have any parting final words? Anything that you'd like to share?
No, just
Okay. Just do it. Do
Do
it.
it's for everybody, legit everybody.
It's for everybody. That's a great note to end on. Well, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and it was very fun to relive your wings moment because wow, what a joy. All right. Thank you, Sarah.
You.